My name is Lori Shorr. I'm a professor of urban education and policy at Temple University in Philadelphia. Prior to that, for 8 years, I was the chief education officer for the city of Philadelphia, which is like the Secretary of Education. They changed the name, but so I did that for many years. One of the things I'd like to talk about is a course that I teach at Temple University. But I got to give you a tiny bit of background before I tell you exactly what the course is. And that is, when I was the Secretary of Education or the Chief Education Officer, I would go around Philly giving presentations, talking about like what our goals are, how we want to reduce the dropout rate. And at one of these presentations, a woman came up to me afterwards with her daughter in tow, and her daughter was in her teens. And she said, "Can you help me get my daughter back into high school?" And that started a friendship and a collaboration with a woman named Sylvia Simms, who works and lives and thrives in North Philadelphia, which is where Temple University is located. We kept in touch and grew closer. In fact, when we had to put somebody on the school board, we put Sylvia on. And Sylvia, it was a grandma and a mother of students that went to the Philadelphia public schools, and we thought it was important to have somebody on the school board that represented that perspective. And she and I worked closely on that. When I was finished with my job at City Hall, I went to Temple University and taught classes. And one of the classes, we were talking about the importance of parents' perspective when developing policies around education or even just working with a child. Being able to talk to the parent and understand and listen to what the parent brings to the table. So I asked Sylvia to come in. She would come in once, then she was coming in twice, then she was coming in 3 times. I taught both an undergraduate and a graduate level course called School and Community Partnerships, and I still do. Eventually I was like, "Sylvia, we need to teach this together." So raised a little outside money, and now Sylvia and I teach this course called School and Community Partnerships. We put it together, we develop it together, we put the curriculum together in joint, and it's an amazing course. Sylvia's perspective on what needs to happen in communities that are experiencing high levels of poverty, it's an important perspective in the classroom for the teachers and soon-to-be principals that are in my classes that I teach. And instead of seeing parents as the problem that has to be solved somehow by teachers and principals and school districts, you really see that parents, grandparents are experts in what needs to happen. And I think that is a huge change of perspective. Whenever you're thinking about how to solve a problem, having the experts at the table in education, experts that are overlooked all the time are parents and community members. In the class, School and Community Partnerships, students actually do a partnership with a community-based organization or a group of parents that want to accomplish something. We read a lot of theory about, how to do this, but they actually do it. And I think that makes a huge difference. Experiential learning, service learning, whatever you want to call it, is really, I think, one of the most potent ways of getting students to learn anything. So in the School and Community Partnership class, for the last several years, we've had groups of students who have worked with Sylvia on her organization, which is called Parent Power. She feels very strongly that parents don't understand the power they have, particularly low-income parents don't understand the power they have, the expertise they have in urban education. So her group, she works with parents to understand what are your rights, and also not just your rights, but how can you help in your child's school to make sure that your children are getting the education they need. What she had to say was so powerful that I took a couple of summers and interviewed her in my kitchen and edited it into a book called A Parent's Power. And now we read that in our class, and other universities read that in their classes, so that you can really hear the voice of a parent who's in a low-income neighborhood and how they feel about schools. Often they've gone to schools that have failed them, and they don't necessarily have a great relationship to the schools. And I think as teachers and educators in schools like that, people don't always understand. It's not just the parent in front of you, it's also the student that parent has become that you're dealing with. I was a home and school president at my kids' school. I think sometimes they think that's how you get parents involved, but No, when we educate teachers and principals, parents and grandparents and community members should be the experts that help us to do that, so that the insights that they have and the way that they've theorized how the work happens in schools is really crucial to making sure that future teachers understand that that's an asset that they need to be drawing on to make sure that they're educating their students the way they need to be educated.